Hello everyone, I am Palpatine001 aka the Senate, and we are back with City Skylines 2 Manukau Ranges 3.x the City Centre. 3.x being basically the mini-series as we continue to develop Manukau City Centre to the point of where we will bring it online. 4.x, just as an FYI, will be the continuation of bringing Huntley online, including the coal mines and the industry, to help get the industry under control. So in the meantime, I'm just taking a quick look, see where that is. All this, and that's going to sort itself out once all the residents have moved in, because we've got these big towers in Kaimai Valley from the 2.x series. So in this one, 3.0, we're going to be looking at the development leading up to releasing the simulator and have everyone moving in. So I've done a lot of this work off screen, i.e. off recording. And the reason for that is to get it to this far, that is having the infrastructure all laid out, both transit, freight and road, has actually taken the equivalent of about, given it was done in two parts, about 2 weeks to get to this far. And that's quite a lot to do to try and bring it all up to even this foundation stage in a single or a series of recordings as we did in 1.x. But also with developing the centre, also gave it two supporting districts: Riverside, which will be the entertainment district, where you can see we've got the sports complex, this arena, the game set match, the Nitro Kingdom, which is basically go-karting. We've supported hospitality industry, including a hotel, dining, Latin dining, and so on, and we'll let the commercial take over the rest. Over in Manukau Way, this is basically where we set up the Central University using the Chinese-styled university, as well as the Chinese-styled town hall. That said, we also have the primary town hall built in as well. So with 3.0, we'll take basically we're going to overview this on what I've done with the city centre, Manukau Way and Manukau Riverside to get them to this foundational point. With 3.1 looking at finishing off the local stuff as we did in the 2.x series. So that would be the smaller local roads where I haven't already done them in some cases. 3.3 will be then we'll do. Let's get this right. 3.0 being the overview, 3.1 being doing the local stuff and the zoning, 3.2 then being the rest of the infrastructure I haven't already got in place, so that would be more civic infrastructure, bringing the transit system online, and making sure our green infrastructure is up to scratch, so that's our parks. And then 3.3 will be any finishing touch-ups before we let the simulator rip, at least for the city centre side anyway. We don't need to worry about Huntley and that, because I've already got what was required down already to cover our industrial demand. Oh, and also in the 3.x series, we'll be bringing our first cargo train online to service the city centre cargo terminal from the port and from Huntley. So that's where we'll be for the 3.x series. So let's take a look at the city centre. So the city centre is obviously the core of your city. Even cities that run dual or poly city centres, such as Auckland, which technically runs two city centres, you still have a primary and then you'll have your secondary. So with the city centre, basically from the get-go, you are setting the expectations of what you want in terms of spatial form, behaviour, and how they influence each other, and who and what you are trying to attract. For example, if all your infrastructure inside the city centre is based around the car, then your spatial form is going to be around it, and what you're going to attract might be somewhat low value, if not at all, towards a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday economy, which plagues city centres not only in New Zealand but also more commonly in North America as well. This is compared to the 24/7 city centres of Europe, Asia, and even Australia. So with all the city centres I do in CS1 and CS2, it's always going to be around the people, and the infrastructure is going to match that. Now, I do not have the full tools in CS2 as I did in CS by the time CS1 was in its late game maturity stage a few years ago. I don't have cycle lanes and bikes, and I don't have the big promenades that you had available as well. So my very last CS1 city had these huge big promenades right through the city centre, which was able to make it more car free than what I can do here. Nonetheless, though, I can still use my infrastructure tools I've got to make the city centre lean towards where I want. You can see that we lean heavily into infrastructure, in this case with heavy rail, which includes a metro station. And includes another metro station there, which I am actually now going to delete because I have upgraded that, and I'll get into that in a minute, and we will do the rerouting in 3.2. You also see pedestrian paths are in play. In this case, I have created a transit mall, so that is solely bus, taxi, and tram. And we still allow for cars, so because there's a cargo station in here with warehousing, what's he making? Paper. Okay, well, that's fine. Offices need paper. Because we've got cargo in here, so we do have roads available for service delivery, but still acknowledging that there's going to be cars floating around, so we do have to accommodate, but you're trying to get them to move around rather than around the city centre, rather than treating it as a transit thoroughfare. If you want to do that, that's what these highways are for, to move traffic not only through quickly rather than through the city streets, but also around it as well. So in the transport side, that's where I'm trying to lean. Now that's going to influence the spatial form, as this will all be high density across the zones except industry, and of all the people that's going to attract. If you look at some of the signature buildings in place, we're already attracting, you've already got some of the big stuff coming in, so that's going to be attracting a lot of people, plus what's also coming in the offices, plus what's also going to be coming in the commercial, plus also what's going to be coming in your tourism, because I've got tourism spread right throughout the city, this being a good one. So in developing the city centre, and one other thing, are you doing single use, so just all office with some basic commercial, hospitality and civic? Fine, that's going to attract your 9 to 5 economy. But if you're doing a 24/7 economy, you're also bringing in your residential, your mixed use, that's high density business, which is in here. Bringing in your mixed use, and you're bringing in your residents to flip it into a 24/7 economy, which means, and this was more famous in my CS1 cities, it was more busy on a Sunday and a Wednesday morning at 3 a.m. than it was on a Monday and a Friday at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. respectively. So I managed to have quite booming night economies, which was great for the city centre and downtown and uptown areas. They became quite the tourist meccas in their own right. So that is what I'm trying to get at and trying to achieve in developing the city centre. Now, at the same time, as we continue to develop the city centre, not only have we got some of our civic infrastructure and most of our transport infrastructure in place, what will be missing is the stops and the routing. So they're coming down off laying the physical infrastructure itself. So we have the heavy rail, intercity and commuter, we have the commuter metro, and we also have the buses, and we also have the tram. Quite an extensive tram network too that applies all through these 3 districts. So we'll have quite a, because the buses won't won't be able to cut moving so many people through the area. These buses max out at 80. Trams max out at, off the top of my head, 480 normally, but I think I've got one that goes right up to 680, which is pushing heavy rail. My heavy rail at the moment moves 720, although that said, I think I can go right up to 840. I'm actually up to some of the bigger stuff now. And with the Metro, even though I've just deleted that line, I've got another one I can look at. The Metro, yep, Subway 840. Can go right up to 1680. So that's really, pardon the language, hauling ass. So that is my biggest mover. And that's going to be 840 at the moment. Well, no, obviously because I haven't built the city fully out. Well, that's going to come into use quite quickly. So getting your efficiency into place. If you're wondering about parking, yes, there is some parking available. Some buildings provide it. Some of these buildings have a bit too much parking in them, which is a bit of a general annoyance. Although once they're parked in there, they have to stand there and not use the transit anyway. But parking will often be provided on the outskirts, and then you just catch the transit going in. An example is down here next to the university. You could literally then park, come off the highway, although that's some distance anyway, park up and then catch transit coming in. Also, apart from the infrastructure development, which is in two phases, a major, then the slops and routing, is, well, routes, is you'll see I've got some of the signature buildings starting to be placed. Each signature building across the zones provides their own set of multipliers. I'll go to the entertainment districts in a minute, and they all give their effects one way or the other. Oh, where I stuck that one. Southwest will be with it. So as I said, they all provide their multiplier effects. So if you were to translate this in the real world, say doing a Riyadh in Saudi or Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, they would be building their big signature buildings, and these act as further anchor points outside your infrastructure, especially civic infrastructure for that matter, to help attract residents, businesses, and visitors, aka tourism, into your city. This is what brings the people in. These are your big advertisements, as I call it, your big neon signs. You've got the infrastructure in place, the zones are all set down. Now you need your advertisements on why should you live here, why should you work here, why should you study here, why should you visit and spend your money here as a tourist. So we've got these big, and in some cases we've got these residential ones now because they provide that's neutral at the moment because it hasn't fully kicked in, and noise I'll deal with shortly. So that has also been part of the development. Down here in, there's nothing much in Manukau Way, that's basically the university and the second town hall, and plus we've got another tram depot, the parks depot, and a logistics centre where we can just bring all the garbage in before sending it out to the new main recycling centre, hazardous centre, and landfill. We've also got the smaller one in Wiri. But at the same time, to help boost the city and boost the city centre, now in City Skylines 1, this would have been the well, I can still rename this downtown. I've just named it something different. We had the leisure, the After Dark DLC, which gave us the leisure and tourism districts. Great for getting your nightlife going. So you had two types. You had your leisure off one side, which was your nightclubs and nightclubbing, and then I think off the other side, if I can remember properly, was the leaned more towards your tourists, straight tourism, leaned straight towards your attractions and all that, and that really kicked off the 24/7 economy. Now, while I don't have those districts yet, as a DLC in CS2, I do they did release a whole lot of content called the leisure venues. Some of them show up in parks, and I've used them. Okay, so a couple of these this are in. And off the signature building side, they actually show up in here. Right across the board. Now I've got some of the biggest stuff in here. I'm going to slap that one in a minute. Next to probably another E3. So these, rather than doing it district, they've done it by building. So to support the city centre, Manukau Riverside would be the equivalent of a tourism and leisure district combined. And so this is also what attracts people in tourism attract people to stay in the city, and also tourism to spend in the city. So we have this entertainment facility, as I've called it, next to a national cemetery. Oh well. It happens. To help make the city stand out so it can compete against the world. So this is supporting the city centre. So we have the sports arena, so esports, huge big thing now. We have the American football field. We have the sports park complex, indoor, outdoor. We have the game set match. If you're looking for the climbing one, that I do have that, so you don't need to panic, caller, dear tourist. I do have the Neo Barracks. Okay. And we do have, that's the supermarket, that's the wrong one. We do have the climbing, for those who want to go for a climb. Oh, and we also have the Sports Hub Pavilion as well. So going back over, we also have the indoor karting. And then to support it further, we have a hotel. We have a lounge. Got a couple of these. And then for the main restaurant, because then I will let the zoning take over to provide the rest. Okay. And if you're wondering what other signature places I also have at a more localized level. So a little tea salon, it's cute, very cute. Just got to trace them all down. I think it was 2. Over here we have the cafe. I hope you're all noticing the boosters these provide. Okay, and then I think that is it regarding the signature buildings, because I think this one is another dockyard. Just the easiest way to actually do it is shoot over and go leisure venue. Oh, it doesn't always show up. Oh, yes, they do. So shoot over here. We've got a couple. That's another hotel. And then I think. Oh yeah. Although this is entirely different, but it still works. They are more generalistic. So those leisure venues, as well as the anchor buildings, the signature buildings act as the anchor points to the city. So that's how we've gone about through the development. As I let the zoning rip, I'll jump down into first person view, and we can take the transit, walk about, and explore it all. Also, just briefly, I should have mentioned the city centre is going to be divided into two quadrants. For those familiar with Serenity and Firefly, if you notice what Malcolm speaks and also the flag logos on the equipment, this will be North American, Northeastern USA and urban content for the zones. And this side will be the Chinese, because these three zones also provide the highest density as well, as you try and get everyone into these spaces. And then of course we start spreading out into here and then popping across the river and connecting up through the valley, most likely with clean industry, so we don't have the pollution going through. I wonder. So like the angle we're at now, this is an overview and of how I have developed the foundational nature of the city centre so far, which was done off screen. The infrastructure, transport, water, power, civic, green, well no, not really yet with green. And then bolstered by the signature buildings that act as part of the anchor to bring people in, because you're trying to make your city stand out in the world and attracting workers, businesses, residents, tourists and all that, as you want a 24/7, as I want a 24/7 economy. And then also to make the residents and stay in the tourist come your entertainment through the leisure venues, the entertainment. And we've just got to make sure our industry is able to match it. So that is the overview and the development of the city centre. Oh, and also how, while I don't have all the tools yet, we still can make a huge big play on using our transit tools that we have until things like promenades and cycles come out. When your main streets transit more and you use a lot of your pedestrian roads, you're getting there. So that's where we will leave it for 3.0. In 3.1, I will drop back down and do the local infrastructure, and that's where I haven't still needs to be done, as well as getting the zones ready. So most of it's done here. There's still little pieces I can do, such as over here, and finish it out over here. I've also got to do the local infrastructure in these big two districts here, because we're going to be bringing these three districts all online at once to try and get all this pushed down to 0. So that's 3.1. 3.2, we finish off the civic infrastructure. 1, 2, or that might be more on demand because I have got them down, so it'll just be where the concentration of the residents are. 3, 4, we'll also do our transport, so that will be doing our stops and our routes. And then 3.3, we will let rip and see what happens. That's always the best part, is seeing all your work come to life, or you spend ages trying to fix it up. Again, part and parcel, I suppose. You're dealing with people. Nature of being a planner. both in City Skylines and in real life, which I am. So that's where we are with the 3.x series, and then after 3.x we will jump over to Huntley to develop that up as the 4.x series, because no doubt we'll need to bring more industry online, and then we might just stitch up Lower Manukau Valley as well. I am Palpatine001, aka the Senate. This has been 3.0, the overview and the development of the city centre. Next up is the local infrastructure and those zones.